Coming up on show 750, the Ford Mustang Mach-E might be more powerful than even Ford thought. Stick around, we'll tell you more. Plus, Volkswagen restart production of their EVs. Bossman Herbert Diess has been driving the VW ID3, according to his LinkedIn profile. Tesla sales in China are jumping. GM are offering the Bolt with big discounts. And Ford filing a trademark for their own supercharging network. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily for Thursday, 16th of April. My name is Martyn Lee, and I go through every EV story so you don't have to. Well, firstly, huge thanks to John C. Solar, who took the time to send a lovely note about how he enjoys the podcast, how he enjoys hearing news every day about clean, green, sustainable, future-driving EVs and making him feel good. And thank you, John, for your kind Patreon support. Volkswagen Passenger Cars are going to restart production in Zwickau from next Monday on week beginning April 20th is when it will start. From April 27th, they'll also restart production. This isn't full blown, but they just start to get back into the production at other plants in Germany, Portugal, Spain, Russia, South Africa, North and South America as well. And they have a 100-point plan for maximum health protection for all of their employees, says VW. Well, Volkswagen Group's production restart, as countries just begin to ease the coronavirus restrictions, will focus on their electric car plant firstly in Germany and their multibrand plant, which is in Slovakia. Actually, they build SUVs there for Porsche and VW and Audi as well. It says Automotive News Europe, the two factories will resume production from April 20th. I got a press release today from VW confirming the same. Zwickau plant builds the ID3, and that's a key model for Volkswagen, which is getting plenty of attention, not only because we want the ID3 to be a great electric car, but because the first affordable long-range electric car from VW, custom-made from the ground up, isn't without its problems. VW plans to reopen the plants, and German government officials are considering relaxing restrictions next week on some businesses whilst keeping social distancing rules in place until at least May the 3rd. And I don't know how you feel about this. I was talking to my wife about this earlier today as we enjoyed a cup of tea at the bottom of the garden as I left the office for a quick 20 minutes and took a break from work. And we were trying to work out what will go back first. And we were thinking things like bars and restaurants and big sporting events will probably be last. But what's first? Well, industry, manufacturing, and possibly small shops as well. Trying to get some retail open. We can't predict it, but we'll follow all of the advice that we are given. And I don't know whether you've seen on social media the same things that we've been seeing over the past day, which is some places, admittedly in America, but some places where people are now protesting against stay-at-home orders, infringing their own freedom to move around and spread the virus. Good on them. Oh dear. Let's move on to a LinkedIn post that we found from the main man at VW, and that would be Herbert Diess. My new working week, says Herbert, starts together with Thomas Ulbrich at the wheel of a Volkswagen ID3, and he has posted a picture of the two of them in the front of an ID3. He says it's our most important project to meet the CO2 targets in Europe in 2020 and 2021. The corona pandemic is a challenge for sales and production, but also for research and development. Herbert says, we are fighting hard to keep our timeline for the launches to come. In R&D, we are now working in two separate teams, morning and afternoon. We wear masks, keep our distance, and follow hygiene standards. Many meetings are now video conferences. We are making progress. Thomas just had a test drive over 1,200 kilometres with several fast-charging stops and was very happy with the performance of the ID3. Interesting that Herbert Diess taken to LinkedIn to post that update as of when I saw it, and it was a pretty new post. Already had a couple of thousand likes and plenty of comments under there, as you can well imagine, and good luck to everybody at VW. The software rumours persist. In fact, to a degree, the software issues have now been confirmed by a VW spokesperson, but the rumours around exactly how bad it is continue to swirl. They're making the cars, they're parking them up, and so the story goes, before they deliver them to customers, they'll be updating the software with a version that is slightly better than the one in the cars at the moment. Okay, let's talk about coming out of this crisis that we're in. And there's more talk I've noticed this week and over the last couple of days, particularly about how the transition happens. Like many countries, I should say, feel that they're getting on top of it, which allows the companies to then start to open up. Of course, ahead of the curve was China, where it all started. And Tesla's China car registrations have been reported on this podcast over the last few days, and now we have more confirmation of a jump in sales in March from the auto consultancy LMC. Mentioned this story a little while ago, and according to Reuters, it looks more official now. Tesla's China registrations rose to 12,709 units in March, and that is up from 2,314 in February. Well, shares of Tesla also surged yesterday, 12% after Credit Suisse upgraded their rating, and Wall Street has been rallying on optimism that the outbreak could well be plateauing. Tesla stock is up about 30% in the last couple of days as investors look beyond disruptions caused by the pandemic, which has forced Tesla to close their factories and furlough workers, cut salaries, and even terminate some short-term contracts as well with their contractors. Well, moving on to GM, and in what GM is calling a coronavirus relief package, the company is discounting the purchase price of a brand new Chevy Bolt by $4,750, and that's in cash discounts, 0% financing for 72 months, and buyers won't make any payments for the first 120 days. That's according to Electrek. While Electrek confirmed with GM that the 0% financing is for 72 months. Wow. It could well be negotiable. JD Power, for instance, writing that the financing at 0% could well be extended to 84 months. It also mentioned that the zero-interest deal for the Bolt included no money down, no security deposit, no payment in the first month, and as I say, for the first 4 months, no payments as well for 120 days, according to the deal that Electrek surfaced. So get a car with no money down, pay no % interest for 84 months, and nothing for the first 120 days. They are certainly encouraging people to pick up an EV. What about one of the big EVs that's coming at the end of this year / beginning of next year? That's the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E. Might well be more powerful than even Ford first thought, and told us. The folks over at the Mach-E forum just came up with an interesting new set of specifications for the Mach-E. Well, Ford's promising a new performance range in the Mach-E, and it's interesting because these cars which they're talking about are now more powerful across the board than the specs that Ford originally offered a few months ago on the website when the car was initially revealed. Well, those specs are now listed and are still, as of me recording this podcast, still listed as targeted numbers. So it doesn't say at least, it doesn't say will exceed, it says targeted numbers. And it seems that Ford has managed to outperform themselves. According to Autoblog, the 2021 Mach-E specs on Ford's dealer training site, it's probably not a public-facing site, but at least it's a dealer source that passed this on to the Mach-E forum. The dealer training site has different specs to the public website. They're now showing an increase in horsepower, torque, and kilowatt output specs for all trims and all models. For instance, I've picked out one, the all-wheel drive, extended range, Mach-E. The old horsepower was 332. The new, upgraded horsepower is 346. That is a very nice bump of 14 horsepower. And an increase in torque, increase in kilowatt output as well. So we'll wait and see what happens, whether they update the Ford public-facing website or whether the dealer training site is a mistake. But we'll keep an eye on that, and I'll report either way. Well, Ford has also, staying with Ford, filed a trademark. They haven't just filed it, though. This is a story from 2018. Well, it's a trademark filing from 2018, which has only surfaced now. For their own equivalent of Tesla's supercharging network. The trademark is connected to what they call a fast-charging network, like Tesla's superchargers, says Inside EVs. There's nothing in the filing indicating that it's specifically only fast-charging, other than the name. And the name is truly terrible. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it doesn't bother you. It's called Faster Charge, but not Faster, F-A-S-T-E-R, but O-R, like pasta. So, Faster Charge. Fastor Charge. It's a terrible name. The Ford Fast-Or charge was filed in 2018 and remains the same, and I've not heard them talk, publicly at least, about making their own Tesla supercharging network, and if they do, well, they already have a name for it. So maybe this was something they did 2 years ago and they've shelved, or maybe it's been bubbling away and they've just not talked about it and hoping that nobody would notice this filing. Although Ford has partnered with Electrify America, Ionity, and Electrify Canada for the rollout of the Mustang Mach-E. They may well be planning their own fast-charging network in time of their own, bringing Level 3 charging capabilities to Ford and Lincoln dealerships or areas not served by other existing charging partners. Well, if you're a Mach-E customer, you could well be charging on the Ford Fast-Or Charge network. Terrible name. Let's talk about supercharging networks, and this time from Tesla. And Car and Driver magazine took their long-term Model 3 out for a direct comparison. And I would say, before I bring you this story, it's really hard to do these direct comparisons because there are so many variables. Now, you can, if you want to, plug your OBD2 dongle into your Tesla, and you can try and recreate as many possible variables as you can. So again, if you're going to do a back-to-back charger, and they went to the 250 kilowatt superchargers, the new V3s, and they also went to 150 kilowatt Tesla supercharger, the V2s, right? So actually, 250 kilowatt charger versus 150. You would expect the difference to be huge. They only found a 2-minute difference. So what were they doing? Well, they said that they started the charge equally low on both cars. They said they charged up until the car said 100%, which you don't do on supercharging networks. But they did. Okay, maybe no one's around at the moment because of the stay-at-home orders, so maybe it wasn't busy. But still, it's not normal behaviour. Normally you'd go to 70 or 80, tapers down the speed, and you'd be on your way. But they didn't. They went to 100%. Tesla claims the new V3 superchargers support peak rates of 250, and we've seen those videos online, but it very rarely holds that peak for more than a few minutes. Again, it depends the state of charge that you turn up to the supercharger. Turn up to a new V3 supercharger with a nice warm battery that's been pre-conditioned, and it will charge faster for longer. That is about 1,000 miles an hour equivalent of charging. Now, Car and Driver say we didn't quite hit those numbers when we took our long-term Model 3 long range to the newly opened supercharger. It's a 250 kilowatt V3 supercharging station in Michigan City, Indiana. They say that when they got there, they saw a peak of 201 kilowatts, which equates to 810 miles an hour. Car and Driver say that the 250 kilowatt charger only beats the lesser one in the range between 10% and 50% state of charge, whereas all of the 2-minute gain they saw over the entire charge was realised at the beginning of the charge. Above that, the two chargers follow the same path on that charging curve, and the power tapers down as the battery level fills up. Again, if you're new to the podcast, I'll quickly explain. When batteries are empty, they can take more charge, and as the battery fills up, the charge slows down. I've used the analogy before, and I've been told off for it because apparently it's not accurate. But if you're filling a bucket of water with a hose pipe, when the bucket is empty, you can have the hose on full. But as the bucket gets to the very top, you'll want to turn the tap down a little bit and just drip, drip, drip. Otherwise, you're going to overflow. And batteries, well, bad things happen if you put too much energy into them, either too fast or too much. So anyway, so that is the best example I can still think of giving about why batteries slow down as they fill up. Anyway, I've been told off in the past for using that one by battery experts for it not being accurate. However, I am not sure, again, if all the variables of this test by Car and Driver were managed. I need to dig into exactly what they did, even if they say they did it. If you're going to go to a V3 supercharger and expecting 250 kilowatts, I think you've got to use your nav system, certainly, and navigate to that supercharger and give the battery plenty of time to precondition. In the article, they don't mention battery temperatures. That's a big thing as well. And so if they were turning up at 1 or 2% or 3 or 5%, and they had conditioned the battery to be in the optimum state when they get to that V3 supercharger, they should hit 250. If they weren't, there are some things they weren't doing. But still, yeah, and it's absolutely... But the essence of the article, in that even though it's another 100 kilowatts of charge speed, and yet it's only 2 minutes of faster charging. The essence of what they're saying, even though I think they're slightly wrong in what they're doing, is probably accurate in that, yeah, all of that faster charging happens in the first 5-10 minutes. And then when you get to 50% at least, and all the videos I've seen online, the charge curves absolutely remain neck and neck as they go down. Let's talk about a very special EV that's coming. The Lotus Evija. Well, the Lotus Evija is Britain's first ever all-electric hypercar. And to give potential buyers a taste of what's to come, Lotus has been giving the Evija configurator online a bit of a makeover with advanced gaming software graphics. This article from /Gear says that the Lotus Evija configurator is the best that they've ever seen for a production car, one of the most innovative ways to spec your hypercar. But if you are a buyer of the Evija, it's because you've got $2.1 million lying around spare. /Gear say that Lotus came up with a special configurator that reminds us of racing games like Gran Turismo and Forza, where you can 3D rotate around the car. Buyers get a high-definition rendering of the Evija using special imaging techniques. It's called ray tracing. Customers can place the vehicle into a destination of their choosing and an environment around the world. So maybe you're buying one of these and you live in the desert. You can put the car in the desert, and according to Lotus, the car will look like how it will do when the local sunlight patterns hit the car. You know, when you're spending $2.1 million on a car, this is the kind of service you get. When the customization process is complete, you get a personalized 360-degree fly-around video of the car. Customers of the car as well, of which there won't be many made, will also get a film exclusive to each customer. No two Evijas are going to be the same, and so they're going to make a film, a movie, all about your car being made. So if you've spent your $2.1 million, you get a nice little thing to watch when you get home, and you can see your car being made as it goes through the process. Lotus also send buyers a little gift at regular intervals during the build process. That's a nice touch. Wouldn't it be nice if we all got that? If you ordered a new car and along the way, if you hadn't got your car yet, the car makers just sent you a little gift to say, thinking of you. Kiss, kiss. Let's get on to question of the week this week. How can the EV industry help people get into driving electric cars as soon as this is all over? And it looks like some countries are coming out the other side of it now. So how can car makers and all of those people, charging networks, how can the EV industry inspire and motivate people to get into electric cars as quickly as possible? Email me hello@evnewsdaily.com or leave a comment in the YouTube show. Well, thank you very much to 237 patrons of the podcast. By no means do you have to have a look at Patreon, patreon.com/evnewsdaily. I don't want to ram it down anyone's throat ever. I like to mention it, but it's very, very optional, by the way, and it's how this show happens, and I'm enormously grateful to those people who ensure this show happens. The premium partners are Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Brightsmith for Clean Tech Talent, Porsche of the Village, Cincinnati, and Audi of Cincinnati East. If you can leave a little review on Apple Podcasts, it helps grow the show. There are 749 in the archive, and if you want to catch up on social, search EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.